Hey, what's up? If you're new to streaming, you're probably looking for a budget-friendly way of controlling all your audio. Well, stick around because in this video I show you step by step just how to do that with the setup that I use without having to go out and spend $400 on a GoXLR or $150 on an Elgato Stream Deck. With that said, let's jump into it. Hey, Tibby here. I got another video for you. I ask if you like the video, please hit that thumbs up for me. Also, don't forget to subscribe and turn notifications on so you don't miss any future videos. And just as a reminder, I do stream live on Twitch, so if you want to come by and check me out, link right here. Thanks. Hey, so like I was saying, if you're just getting into streaming, you're probably on a budget, not looking to spend a whole lot of money on all this fancy hardware like all these big streamers are using, but you'd still like to have that control over your audio. Well, there's a few pieces of software I've found that give you just about the same functionality as your GoXLR and your Elgato Stream Deck. Let me show you what those are. We'll get those downloaded, and then I'll show you how to set them up with the setup that I'm using anyways, which is I found that fits just about every situation that I need it for. So let me show you. Alright, so the first piece of software I got is called Voicemeeter Potato, and it is a software-based sound mixer. So it's got a lot of the functions and capabilities of what the GoXLR has, in the sense that it gives you a finite control on where your audio gets routed to. Oh, and by the way, all the software that I'm going to be showing you that I'm using, I'll have download links for them in the description below. All right, so along with getting Voicemeeter Potato, though, there's also another piece of software that they have on here that you're going to need to use, and that is their virtual audio cable. And basically, what this does is it emulates basically a physical cable plugged into your PC, and I'll get into explaining what that gets used for later on in the video. Alright, so the next piece of software that we're going to need for this setup is Touch Portal. And Touch Portal is the budget replacement of the Elgato Stream Deck that I'm using. And what it is it's a smartphone app. So it lets you use your phone as the deck basically for all the buttons to control what you want to control. It gets set up on the PC though, and then connects to the PC either through Wi-Fi or through USB. So with the Touch Portal app, this is actually the only part of the setup that costs any money, because there is a pro upgrade here that costs $12.99, which unlocks all the features of the app, and it's a one-time lifetime license. So $12.99 one time, and it unlocks all the features. But the one feature that we need this for is to be able to use plugins, because there's one plugin that we're gonna have to get, which I'm gonna show you later on in the video how to set up. But it allows us to be able to add buttons to control Voicemeeter. Hey guys, actually right here I forgot to mention, in order to purchase the Pro upgrade, that's actually a purchase that you make within inside the app once you've downloaded it to your phone. Now I know some people are probably saying that Elgato has their own mobile app also, but I preferred to go this route because it was a one-time fee to unlock this app and all its features, and the Elgato mobile app is actually a monthly subscription that you have to pay. So that's why I preferred to go the Touch Portal route. You're also going to need to download this VM Pickle plugin, which, like I mentioned, I'll have links for these downloads in the description. But all right. So once you get all this software downloaded and installed, I'm sure there's 1,000 different ways to set all this up and use it. I'm gonna go step by step and show you the way that I have mine set up and what works for me. Alright, so to start out with this setup, we're going to go down to the speaker down in the right hand corner. We're going to right click on it. We're going to go to sounds, and then we're going to go to the playback tab, and then somewhere in here, after you've installed Voicemeeter and you've installed the virtual cable, you're going to see them in here. So you're going to have 3 virtual inputs from Voicemeeter and the one for the cable. So for my setup, what I do, how I have mine going is I have the Voicemeeter input set as the default device, and then I have the cable input set as the default communications device. And then just on the recording tab, just make sure whatever you use for your mic, you have set as just set it as default. I have it set as both the default device and the default communication device. But as you can see on mine, I use this. See, this is my physical mic, but I'm actually using NVIDIA's broadcast software to do noise cancellation. So that is what I have set as my actual mic because it routes all my mic input to that NVIDIA broadcast software so it can do its thing. All right, so once we got that set up, then we'll jump over to Voicemeeter, open it up. Now, I know this can look a little daunting at first, so I'm going to give you a quick breakdown of Voicemeeter Potato. I'm just going to explain what all these sections are, and then I'm going to jump in to the programs that I have set up, and I'm going to break down the routing for you. All right, so if you look up at the top first, these first 5 sections, these are your hardware inputs. So these are any physical devices that you actually have plugged into your computer that are inputting audio. This next section, these 3, these are your virtual inputs. So these are the 3 inputs that you saw on the playback tab, just on that other window. These 5 here, these are your hardware output selections. So this is where you select any of the physical devices that you have hooked up to your computer that are made to output sound and audio. And then down here in this section, the B1, B2, and B3, these are the virtual output. Okay, so with that being said, let me break down my setup for Voicemeeter. So first, let's do some menu settings. First, you want to always have the auto restart audio engine checked. So what this does is it detects whenever you unplug or plug in a piece of hardware, and when you do, it basically restarts itself, so it recognizes the hardware again. Just something helpful to always that you should always keep on. Then on top of that, you want to have the system tray run its startup checked. That way, Voicemeeter will start at when Windows starts. And then another handy thing to have turned on is this hook volume keys. And this hooks them to A1. So whatever you have set as your hardware out A1 is what the volume keys on your keyboard are going to start controlling. So by default, your volume keys on your keyboard usually control the Windows volume, the Windows default volume. But when you start using Voicemeeter, you lose that functionality because Windows isn't controlling the volume anymore. Voicemeeter is. So by checking this, this allows you to use your buttons on your keyboard to control Voicemeeter instead of Windows now. So you'll get some volume adjustment functionality back to those buttons. So that's basically all you need to set up in the menu. If you wanna, once you get all this set up, just as a backup, you can save these settings, and then if anything ever happens, you have to uninstall the program or something, you can always keep the settings and load them back in afterwards. Just a nice little backup to have. All right, so now with the actual input output settings. So the first input I have is my mic. As you can see from this dropdown, this lists all the input devices that the computer recognizes. And some of them you can see are duplicated, but they got different letters in front of them. And all these are different drivers that Voicemeeter can use for these inputs. From my research and reading and videos that I've seen, WDM is the driver that you need to be using. They say there's some latency differences with the other ones, but this is the best one to use. All right, so the second input that I have is that virtual cable. And I'll get more into how that gets used. But as I told you, that cable emulates uh, physical hardware cable plugged in. So that's why you were able to select it here. And now for the hardware outputs, A1 I have set as my desktop speakers. And A2 and A3, they both are my headset. As you can tell, I have a set of Astro A50s and they have a built-in mix amp over here. And so basically what that means is that the headset has two outputs. It has the game volume output and voice volume output. So that's why A2 is game sound and A3 is voice sound. All right. So this will probably be easier just for me to show you. So here in Discord, as you can see, I have the input device set as Voicemeeter VAIO3 output. And what that is that is the third output of Voicemeeter, the third virtual output. So as you can see here, B3. The way this setup works, and this works for any voice chat program, you set the input device as the third virtual output. You set the output device as the virtual cable input. All right, so with this setup, basically what's happening, underneath my mic, I'm having my mic routed to B3. And if you remember, B3 is the third virtual output of Voicemeeter. So that means my mic, my voice is coming into Voicemeeter here, and it's going over to B3, and it's getting outputted through this virtual output, which is the AIO3 output. So as you saw in the chat program, my mic is coming as an input device through third virtual output. And the reason I did it this way is because that gives me the ability to have control over being able to turn my mic volume on and off to the voice chat. So if I toggle this B3 off, then my mic stops outputting to the voice chat program, and so no one can hear my voice anymore in the voice chat program. But at the same time, that doesn't affect the stream. So it gives me the ability to turn the mic off in the voice chat, but still have my mic going through the stream. And then on the output side of it, it's set to the virtual cable input. So if you think of it physically as a cable, right? Think of it physically as a cable. So this side plugs into your computer, right? So this side is what's plugged into the software, the chat program, right? So the chat program is outputting to this side of the cable, which is the input side of the cable. And then it's going down the cable to the output side of the cable, which is plugged into your computer, which is going into Voicemeeter here, which is the cable output. So that means everybody's voices from the chat program are coming into the cable and transversing it and going to the output side of the cable, which is coming into Voicemeeter here. And with this setup, this gives me the ability to route other people's voices from the chat program where I want it to go. So as you can see here, I got it set to A3, and A3, if you remember up here, goes to the voice side of the mix amp on my headset. So that allows me to mix out people's voices from the game sound. Gives me that ability, but now that doesn't affect the other people's voices sound anywhere else, just in my headset. And then the second part that I have other people's voices from the chat program route to is to B2. Now B2 is the second virtual output, which I have set up to output strictly to OBS, strictly to the stream. So anything that's set to route to B2 is going straight to my stream. So with that set up, this gives me the ability of turning other people's voices on and off inside the stream and on and off from my headset if I want to. And it also gives me the ability to turn my mic off from other people being able to hear me inside the voice chat program, but people in the stream can still hear me. All right, so I guess since I started talking about OBS and the stream, I'll show you how I have that set up here. So here I am inside OBS. So what I have set up here is under the sources, I've added an audio input capture source, and I called it sound. And basically I have it set up to the second virtual output, the Voicemeeter aux output, and that is B2 here. That's the second virtual output. Anything that's set up to go to aux 2, the second virtual output in Voicemeeter, is coming over to OBS here. Now, as you can tell, I have a separate audio for my mic in OBS. Now, if I wanted to, I could just turn the mic here to B2, and then it'll be coming through here too. You're probably going to hear double volume right now. The only reason I don't do that, I used to, but then I decided to go a separate route here, is because I wanted to add filters, and I can't use these same filters inside Voicemeeter for my mic to make it sound any different. So I wanted to be able to have that control over how my mic sounds. So instead of using Voicemeeter to route my mic over to OBS, under the settings, I've just set my mic separately so I can add those filters. But the main point is that the sound part here, now you have to add that to every source that you have. So even on my all cam source here, I have to have the sound set up. So that's kind of a downfall, but it gives you that control over whether you have the sounds coming from Voicemeeter in a scene or not. But it also gives you that control over what sounds are coming over to OBS. So, like I said, anything that's routed to B2 is going over to OBS and going over to my stream. All right. So, let's see. To finish up the rest of the Voicemeeter setup here, in the middle we have the virtual input. The way this works is anything that's coming in on a virtual input is also getting directed out its corresponding virtual output. So anything that comes in on the main Voicemeeter input is also going out B1, the main Voicemeeter output. So to actually be able to hear the sounds for that input, you actually have to set the routing up for it. So for the main default input, which we have set up for Windows default sounds, I have that set up to output to my desk speakers. So anything that's set up on the default input gets routed to my desk speakers. Any app is going to use the default system input unless you explicitly tell it to use something else, like I showed you in the advanced sound options. The second virtual input, the auxiliary input as it's named, I have that set to output to my headset on the game side of the mix amp. And then I also have it set to route to OBS so the stream can hear my game sound. So the third virtual input I've kind of used as app notifications, and that's pretty much for app notifications that I want to get sent to my headset. All right, so as an example, here under the advanced app volume settings, I have Discord's default output set as the third virtual input, and that is because with third virtual input, I have it set to output to my headset, And what that allows is gives me the ability to be able to hear Discord's app notifications, but no one else hears them. So I could have set it to the auxiliary, but then that would get routed to OBS, and anytime I'm streaming, those Discord notifications would also go through to the stream so they would hear it. And I didn't want that to happen. So I just wanted to be able to hear them in my headset alone without anyone else hearing them. So that's whenever I want that ability to just be able to hear it in my headset and nowhere else, I always set that app to the third virtual input. As you can tell here, just a note also, I have OBS's output set to auxiliary. And the reason for that is because any stream alerts, like follows and subscriptions and stuff, those alerts, when they come through and the sound goes off, you want the stream to be able to hear them too. So I I hear them in my headset, and the stream will also hear them, but I have to have it set up to route to the second input, the second virtual input, for that to be possible. All right, and the last part of the actual sound setup is going to be for game. So with just about most games that I've come across anyways, they usually give you the ability of selecting your input outputs within the game settings. So they usually give you, like for voice, they usually give you the ability to set the input and output just like in Discord here. And in which case, if you have that ability, you want to use the same setup for the voice for the end game to give you that same functionality of the control with Voicemeeter. Now, the only game that I've come across that I haven't been able to do that is Modern Warfare. And so with Modern Warfare, the only options that they give you in the settings is the options to choose between the default communication device and the default system device. This is why at the beginning I told you I set the cable as the default communications device, that virtual cable. That way, Call of Duty Modern Warfare will use that cable, that virtual cable, to route its voice chat. So in that sense, it gives you the same functionality as setting it physically to the virtual cable like we did in Discord here for the output. So on top of that, for Modern Warfare, unlike most games, they usually give you the option of setting the game sound where you want to output the game sound to. Modern Warfare doesn't. So to set that, open the sound settings again, go to the advanced options, and here's where you'd set that to the auxiliary input, the second virtual input. That way it gets routed to OBS so your stream can hear your game sound. Now there is one caveat to setting Call of Duty game sound here, and I don't know if it's just me or if it has something to do with Call of Duty or Windows itself, but every time I go to play my game and I open this up here, it always says Voicemeeter auxiliary input, but for some reason it still outputs to the default device that's set up. So every time I open the game up, I have to come in here, I have to select something else, and then I got to select auxiliary again. Then it starts routing to the second virtual output for some reason. I don't know why it doesn't remember the selection. Well, it remembers the selection, but I don't know why. For some reason, it doesn't. It changes the routing, but it does. So I always have to change it in here. So just a heads up if you're a Modern Warfare player. Now, I can confirm I did play the Cold War beta, and it remembered my selection just fine. Now that we got all our sound settings and Voicemeeter and stuff set up, now let's get Touch Portal set up. That way we'll have full control over the routing and everything just from a touch of a button on our phone. All right, let's look at that. All right, so let's take a look at Touch Portal. when you first open Touch Portal, if you have OBS opened also, you should get a pop-up down here like that saying there's been a new WebSocket connection with OBS Studio. If you're not getting that, you need to make sure that your settings for both Touch Portal and OBS are the same. So within Touch Portal, click on the cogwheel up here, go to the settings, click on OBS, check that this says localhost and 444 and auto connect. Save that. So if you don't get the connection after that, then open up your OBS, go to the tools up here, go to the WebSocket server settings, check that they match with the settings that was in Touch Portal. Now, if you have authentication set up here, then you'll also have to input that same password in the settings in Touch Portal right here. So once you get that set up and you get your WebSocket connection set up, then that means your Touch Portal is connected to your OBS. So that's what gives the functionality of Touch Portal to control OBS things. Also, you're going to have to download the Touch Portal app on your smartphone and get it set up. Basically, there's not much to set up on the smartphone app. You just have to either, if you're going to connect over Wi-Fi, you have to give the IP address of your computer that you have the Touch Portal program downloaded and installed on. Then once that's connected, you'll see this turn green when it's fully connected, and you'll know you're ready to go as far as the connection goes. But even without it being connected, you can still set up Touch Portal. All the smartphone app is just an interface. The actual functionality of the app comes from the program on the computer and what you set up on it. So, with that being said, we need to import that plugin, the VMPickle plugin. And what that does is that's a plugin that is used to interface with Voicemeeter on Touch Portal. Okay, so to import the plugin, we're going to click on the little wrench here at the top, go to Import Plugin, locate the vm-pickle.tpp file that you should have downloaded. If you hadn't downloaded it yet, then go to the link in the description and click on the download button here, download that somewhere, and then click Open. Locate it in here and click Open. You should get this information pop up of the plugin imported successfully. Click OK, and you should be good to go. So to create a new button, you just find an open spot and you click on it. It'll open up this creation window basically. Now that plugin that you have should be here at the bottom, the Voicemeeter Pickle. And what this does is this gives you the ability to interface with Voicemeeter. So if you open Voicemeeter, you'll see that there is an R up here lit up. Now there should only be one R for you if Touch Portal is the only connection that you have with Voicemeeter. So there should be one R lit up here. Like I said, indicating that Touch Portal is connected to Voicemeeter. If you don't see that R, there is a possibility that if you have an antivirus or a malware blocker, that it has gotten blocked by that software. So check your software, make sure it's not blocking VMPickle. If it is, you'll want to exclude it from being blocked, put it in like a safe list, an excluded list of being blocked, and then that should work. If you do that, it's still not lighting up after some restarts and stuff, come over here, open up an Explorer window, just see users, go to your user folder, make sure under view that you have the hidden items open, then go to app data, roaming, touch portal, and plugins. You should see the VMPickle plugin folder here. Try double clicking the start check exe to restart Pickle. See if the R lights up then. If that doesn't work, try double clicking the VM API server exe. See if it works after that. One of them should start it up as long as it's not getting blocked by any malware or antivirus software that you have. So once you got that all established and the connection's good, then you can start creating buttons. Alright, so to give you the gist on setting these buttons up, this is the button I have set up for the other voices that go to my stream. So this button corresponds to, under Voicemeeter, under the other voices column here, this B2 button, which means it's routing the other voices to OBS, right? To the stream. So what this touch portal button does is it basically toggles this B2 on and off. Allows me to control that from the touch portal app on my phone. So to set this button up, now this is a lot to understand and to basically explain too, if you've never seen it before. But to keep it simple, use this setup in any of your buttons that you want to set up to control on Voicemeeter. And the only thing that you need to change is this number, the stripe number, and the corresponding button after the dot. So as you can see, this says .b2. So that's in reference to the B2 here. If you were wanting to change, say the A3 here, then change the B2 to A3. So just copy this setup for the button, and then just change the numbers as you see fit. So the stripe 1, as you can tell, that corresponds to the column that that button is under. So my mic column here is actually stripe 0. And as you can see, stripe 1 is the others voices column here for this hardware. And then it just progresses on up as you move down. So just set that to wherever your button is that you're trying to control. The other thing is which is handy, is these on events. These first ones that I have set up are events to change the color and the image of the button. So when this button's actually on, it's just white with an open mic. When I press the button and I turn the button off, it switches to this closed mic. Alright, so the other thing you can do is you can set up volume up down buttons for any of these sliders. So all you have to do there is use the volume adjust action here, and then just, as I explained before, set the stripe that you're wanting to control, and then set how you're wanting the volume to change, whether it be up or down, and then by how much you want it to change when you press the button. Other than that, I got some OBS stuff set up to change my OBS scenes, to start my stream, stop my stream. This is a button that I have set up just to send out a tweet. It don't actually send out a tweet, but it opens a web page to compose a new tweet. And this one's to clear my Twitch chat, which is something that built in on here that you can set up to clear chat. This one's set up to turn the button off so I don't get the game sound in my headphones if I don't want it. So, I mean, basically you can set these buttons up to control any button in Voicemeeter. Now, I know it's a little complicated on the way that they have that set up with the commands being striped and then dot and then 1 or 0 to turn it on or off. That's something I just learned from reading on the forums and stuff about this stuff. So if you want to learn a little bit more about that, I suggest just Googling and looking some of that stuff up to learn more about that. But other than that, this is my setup. This is what I have going on, and it suits me pretty well. It gets the job done for me. It allows me to have pretty well control over my mic, over my sound, what I hear, what the stream hears, and allows me to control just about every aspect of it while I'm in game. And the best part of it is that it's on a budget. So, I mean, like I said, $12.99 for the license for the Touch Portal. That's all I had to pay to get a lot of the basic fundamental functionality that a GoXLR has and a Elgato Stream Deck, which cost about $550. So yeah, I saved a lot of money going this route. If you have any other questions about any of this software or any other aspect of the setup, please feel free to comment below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.